Skip it. गूगल डिप्रिकेट कर दिया उसका सपोर्ट. I went live.
हाँ
I went live.
हाँ कोई वीक लाइक आ रहा है.
Hey, student Gaurav is here. I've shared you the second link. You will have to use that link and share that link with the candidates. Just now I've pinged you the link. Yeah, IIIT Delhi campus, it says. The link that I've shared with you right now. Okay, ask them to join there, okay? No worries. In 5 minutes, okay? Ask them to join and we can start. Yeah.
In that link, second link.
Yeah, sure.
Happy.
Can everyone hear me? So about 30 plus people have joined in. So we'll wait for a couple of more minutes and start. So you can just type out if you have any questions and all. Else the presentation flow would kind of just walk you through what all we do at IIIT, what sort of products we have, what sort of things we are working on. I'll be starting the presentation. We'll also have a couple of other folks who have been with IIIT for some time, who have newly joined as well. We'll give you an overview on what sort of projects they're working on, what is happening with those projects and all. So someone is asking why is it named IIIT? So I'll answer that as well. This is not audible. यहाँ से आ रहा है वहाँ. Voice is audible, but cool. So if everyone of you can hear me, then I'll start. So I think we would be one of the first companies to visit your campus for this year, and happy to kind of engage with IIIT Delhi. I've heard about IIIT Delhi from folks who have been in Delhi who have joined us recently. So we're kind of keen to engage with IIIT Delhi. And I'll kind of give you an overview on. So imagine if I put myself in your shoes and it's say the fourth year starting for me or the third year starting for me. So a couple of interesting things happen in this particular juncture. One is in terms of what sort of a company I choose for my internship or for my final placement. That's a pretty critical decision as well. I'll kind of walk you through as to how you can kind of make that decision. Number one, what kind of buy HitK offers in terms of things that you can get to work on, and we'll kind of give you an overall overview on different things. So I'll just start with the presentation. I'm kind of sharing a link of the presentation with you all in the chat. You can open that presentation link and you'll be able to kind of also start along with me on that. So what exactly does ByteK do and why is it named that way? So we kind of started out with a simple idea that whenever you're trying to buy something, you if you have to kind of make a right decision there, it takes a lot of time and effort to kind of make that right decision. So you should be able to kind of figure out where would you get the product at the best price, where would you get it at the fastest pace. Are there any sort of coupons and offers that you're missing out on, and all these different things, whether it's the right time to buy the product right now or not. All these different criterias are there, and if a user has to kind of do this manually by himself, it takes about 50 to 60 minutes for someone to kind of do this, because you'll have to go to the different websites, you'll have to go to couponing websites, you'll have to see offers in terms of debit or credit card. So what we essentially started with an idea was, how do we kind of minimize that time and effort and save the user time and money while doing that. So the business is kind of fundamentally built on something that is not going to change. So quite often we kind of think, what's something that is going to change and can we kind of work something along on those lines. But we kind of have a reverse approach here as well. So we think, what's something that is not going to change, and one of the fundamentals that's going to change is 10 years down the line as well, a person would never say, hey, I like this product, give it to me at a costlier price, or ship it to me later, right? So that kind of a behavior where a user who wants a particular product, he can kind of get it at the best possible price, and without any efforts from his side. So that's something that we kind of do. Products are fairly popular in terms of the Chrome extension, and we have a mobile app. The way they work is also fairly unique. So if you are kind of on a web page right now, I'll just share a link with you. So you'll be able to kind of explore how the Chrome extension works if you've not done that. So I've shared a link with you. If you're on, say, a desktop, you can kind of install that. Go to any particular website, say Flipkart or Amazon, you would be able to see different things on top of that. So something like a price variation trend, you would be able to see. Price comparison, you would be able to see. You can see coupons and offers relating to that. And this on a daily basis saves somewhere around 1.5 crores for our users on every single day. So people use it on different websites, something like an Amazon, Flipkart, even we have things on top of travel websites as well, or even fooding websites like a Domino's. So that's something we kind of offer in the first product that we have. So fundamentally, the overall genesis that we have is key. Any sort of commerce transaction that is happening anywhere globally, will want to be a part of that and help the user save money, make money, or reduce his commerce friction. So if we are able to do that, that's a substantially large opportunity. So saving money part, we kind of effectively do with ByteK, and the same thing kind of also works inside a commerce app, like say a Flipkart app or an Amazon app, or even something like a Make My Trip app, right? So it would kind of help you save money whenever you're doing that commerce transaction. So that's one thing that we kind of do. Other than this, I'll kind of walk you through a few other products that we are kind of working on. As I said, the genesis is to help in terms of commerce transactions that are happening in order to save money, make money, or reduce commerce friction. So, in terms of saving money, we are also doing something pretty interesting. It's more like a decentralized marketplace, to kind of so think of it this way: whenever there are sale or those sort of things happening, so there is say a sale on top of Flipkart that is happening, and Flipkart or Amazon is kind of giving a discount on top of say an SBI card, or say something like a Standard Chartered or Citibank card, right? So what essentially is going to happen in this case is uh, a particular user might not have all sort of credit cards or debit cards that are out there. So, case in point, say Flipkart has a sale on recently concluded. It's still happening till today. There is a sale on Flipkart, and there is an offer specific to SBI credit card. Amazon has the offer specific to HDFC cards, right? So every single user might not have those cards, and in order to kind of avail some sort of a discount, you need that specific card to get that. So what we're creating is more like a decentralized marketplace where people can kind of give their cards on one side, and on the other hand, people who are interested in terms of making a transaction or a purchase, they would be able to kind of do that. So on one hand, people are kind of saying, hey, I have X card, I have an Access card, Standard Chartered card, Citibank card, HSBC card, or something. On the other hand, some user is saying, hey, I want to buy this phone. This is for 15,000. On Flipkart, I'm getting a 10% off. And with that 10% off, I'm going to save 1,500. Of that 1,500 rupees, I'm willing to share back 500 rupees to someone who is willing to book it for me. So that's sort of a marketplace we're kind of creating, and we are kind of building this. So this has never been done in terms of a product. So more like a decentralized marketplace where people can exchange their commerce transactions. Someone can say, I want to buy this particular thing, and this is the card that is needed for that, and someone who has that card can book it for that particular person and make money in terms of doing that transaction. So on one hand, one user is saving money. On the other hand, some other person is kind of making money in terms of providing a service. So that's one of the products. We also have some pretty interesting products. So if you kind of check on slide number 4, you can see how the Chrome extension exactly works. There's a video on top of that, which kind of showcases how exactly it works on, say, a site like Flipkart, if you're checking those transactions. Similarly, on slide number 5, it showcases how it works on top of something like an app, a Flipkart or Amazon app that is kind of happening. So I'm just trying to get in context. Everyone is kind of writing +1. That +1 is for, does it signify something? So that's how the Chrome and extension and the mobile app works. The mobile app as well was the first time globally it was kind of done. So it kind of taps onto something like an accessibility service. It fetches the on-screen content and then figures out what exactly is the on-screen content, what is the user looking at, and then accordingly saves money for the user. So that's there. Other than that, we have something pretty interesting in terms of the other products that we have. So if you kind of look at the stack for ByteK, we have about we use different sort of cloud platforms, so Google Cloud, GCP. We use Microsoft Azure, Swift, and in terms of the Android side, we use Kotlin. The stack is around PHP, Java, MySQL. We've kind of used. Does Honey extension also work the same way? Yes. No, So that's one of the products that we have. We have over 7 products. So I'll kind of take you to something that is pretty hot right now in terms of the regulatory aspects, and that's around cryptocurrencies. So we also have a product around that. It's called BitBNS, and BitBNS is India's largest crypto exchange. Trades about somewhere around 15 to 20 crores on a daily basis. People can trade different digital assets, something like a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. There are 60 plus different digital assets people can kind of trade on that. There's a fairly strong misconception that people have around that cryptocurrencies are illegal or something of that sort. Now that has happened because the media has kind of blown it out of proportion. Cryptocurrencies are kind of perfectly legal in terms of holding, trading, and kind of using them in terms of purchases. So that's the current context. So we've kind of built this entire platform from scratch. So anyone who wants to kind of trade can trade here. So this is similar to something like Sensex. On top of Sensex, there are transactions and trades that kind of happen where there are, say, millions of buyers who are kind of willing to buy certain set of stocks. There are millions of buyers who are willing to kind of sell certain set of stock. That's something we kind of offer for cryptocurrencies with this platform, and this has been kind of going pretty well, and we're kind of expanding this to other countries as well. So after India, we're kind of targeting Middle East, and post that Europe is where we're kind of looking to go into. So if you check along on a slide number, say 12, you would be able to kind of see something pretty interesting. I'll share the link of that as well. So it's a YouTube link, which kind of shows how exactly we're kind of trying to make cryptocurrencies usable in the normal commerce context. So this is something we're calling as BitBNS Pay, where anyone who wants to kind of use it in a normal context. So one of the challenges that cryptocurrencies faces is in terms of its volatility, the price changes that kind of happen, and that's precisely one reason that a lot of merchants are not looking to adopt it. So that's something we're kind of working on solving, and we have kind of taken footsteps around that. So that's around BitBNS space. So if you get a chance, explore slide number 12, and you would be able to kind of see why exactly what exactly are we kind of doing to that, and that's again globally never being done. So we're kind of creating a credit card and a debit card with crypto, which can be spendable anywhere in the sense online or offline, on top of an Amazon or a Flipkart or a Shoppers Stop or a Baskin Robbins, and you'll get 3% saving on every transaction that you're making. So that's something that we are kind of working out, and you'll be able to kind of see it when we are kind of live with that. So those are a couple of things that we're kind of doing on BitBNS. And not only this, so if you kind of explore a few of these products that we have, you'd get to see these are kind of diametrically opposite in terms of how they kind of function, what sort of things they kind of require. And these have been done by not more than 3 or 4 folks working on it. A couple of these products are done individually by one person single-handedly working on that. So that's sort of the responsibilities that you kind of get if you work with BATK. So if you see, I've kind of introduced about 2 products to you. We have about 7 products, and I'll kind of walk you through the other set of products as well. And most of them are kind of innovative in the way they kind of act, work, and kind of help users out. And most of them do not have kind of consequent parallels that are kind of anywhere close. So that's around BitBNS. And if any, also just with say, if you can answer this, how many of you know about Bitcoin? You can write 1 for yes. So how many of you have heard of Bitcoin, know about Bitcoin? If you know about it, you can write 1 for yes, 0 for no. And that can kind of give me an overview. So Royal Tomar has kind of heard about it. CH1 has heard about it. Abhishek has heard about it. So if you kind of think it, why specifically is Bitcoin interesting or important? Is that in the current financial system, if you just see, there are a lot of challenges that are kind of out there. So quite a few countries in itself are kind of going down. So going down in the sense there is a lot of policy crisis or economic crisis that are kind of happening. So case in point, a lot of you would have heard about Zimbabwe earlier as well. So there is hyperinflation in Zimbabwe, and buying any goods or something from their national currency is almost impossible. The same sort of a thing is also happening with richer countries now. So something like Venezuela. Venezuela is the third richest country in the world in 1950s. It is one of the largest oil reserves in the world. And Venezuela is on the verge of bankruptcy, as in they do not have more funds. They've kind of printed whatever they could. And that's because if you kind of take the history of the last 5 or 6 thousand years as well, most of the fiat currencies are something like which are nation-run currencies, which are backed by faith. So something like Indian national rupees or US dollars or euro or those kind of currencies. There have been a lot of rulers or kingdoms that have kind of used fiat currencies. Those effectively have kind of died over a period of time, right? So Dipanshu has an interesting answer saying zero point 0.5. So he knows half about Bitcoin. He doesn't know the half of the other half. So, anyways, so that's something that kind of Bitcoin empowers, and it's one of the first digital currencies that is kind of truly global. Is not controlled by any government and is permissionless. Anyone can verify any particular transaction that is happening on the internet. You can use Block Explorers to there. And Nishta is asking what UX opportunities are there. I'll come to that as well, Nishta. I've kind of given some glimpse on the tech as well. So there's a lot of interesting challenges that this kind of puts in front. So even if I have to kind of answer that question around UX, so in terms of usability, the current Bitcoin network is not very usable in terms of a mass scale usage. So if you kind of compare that with something like a UPI, the UPI network is extremely kind of user friendly. There is you can easily transfer a transaction from one person to another, and similarly different payment mechanisms. So the payment mechanisms earlier before this were more clunkier. So before UPI, it used to be NEFT, RTGS, and that was more clunky. You needed to kind of remember what sort of a account number is there. You needed to remember what is IFSC. But with UPI, that's kind of must. So that level of abstraction right now with crypto is nowhere close, and that's something that kind of presents as an opportunity, which kind of essentially be helpful for anyone who's kind of looking to make those sort of crypto payments useful for mass users. UX opportunities are open, so if someone wants to kind of submit a resume and all, they can kind of do that. What's the difference between Bitcoin and eCoin? So eCoin, so there are different set of cryptocurrencies. There are over 2,000 cryptocurrencies. Everyone kind of tries serving a different use case. Bitcoin essentially was the genesis of this, started in 2008, and that's when the last financial crisis happened, where the banks became greedier. So effectively, why such sort of a currency should exist is because if you you right now trust the banks with your money. So you put your money in banks, and you effectively think that the banks would act in good faith. But that's definitely not true, and has been kind of proven over and over again, right? So with your money, the banks kind of given loans 10 times of whatever money they hold. So for every 1 rupee in fixed deposit or current account balance that a bank has, it has the potential to kind of give 10 times the loan of that, because they know they cannot be withdrawn at the same time, right? So not everyone is going to withdraw the money at the same time, right? If that kind of a thing happens, the bank collapses and it's called a bank run, right? So what is essentially happening there is your money is being taken and it's being given to different people. In quite a few cases, those are bad loans. So something like if that's kind of given to something like a Vijay Mallya or a Nirav Modi or those kind of people, there is absolutely zero probability of the overall money kind of getting returned back, right? So Now, if that sort of a thing happens, that's kind of again recovered back from people like us in the form of increased taxes. So that's something that is kind of happening over and over again. 2008 financial crisis also happened because banks started becoming greedier, and they started kind of creating riskier instruments which were kind of sold off to people. So Bitcoin takes an antithesis approach, saying that we do not trust anything, verify every single transaction. Everything should be part of a blockchain where all those transactions are recorded. Everyone can verify every single transaction, and you become your own bank. So Bitcoin kind of essentially gives that empowering thing, and that's something we are kind of fairly excited in terms of bringing back to the users, and we're kind of working along on that. So I've just kind of walked you through a couple of products. I'll kind of also take you through a few other products, and then introduce a couple of folks working on different sections on top of that. So Jatin, Nishta, we do have UI UX profiles. You can kind of apply for them. Front end, yes, involves usability stuff as well, but front end also kind of involves the coding aspect of it. So a good front end designer should also kind of understand the usability aspect of it, and would of course need to kind of code that out. So that's there. Another product that we have is called Tatkal for sure. I'll kind of share the link of that. So this product kind of helps anyone who wants to book a Tatkal train ticket. So Uncle Ben is saying I'm not audible. I think it's audible to most of the people. So I think you'll need to check your mic, the audio device you're using. So I've shared the link of Tatkal for sure. So what it essentially does is anyone who wants to book a Tatkal train ticket would be able to kind of do it. Just a minute. Cool. So So I'll share the link of the Chrome extension again for TFS, which what it essentially does is it kind of automates the Tatkal ticket booking transaction for you. So you can, Sahil, you can have a look at this. I've shared another link. So that's for TFS. It has over 158,000 users who kind of actively use it on a daily basis. This does close to about 2% of all the Tatkal tickets booked in India every single day. What this kind of offers is that anyone who wants to book a Tatkal ticket transaction, he can just kind of install the Chrome extension, put in the details as to where he wants to go, what is the destination, which all passengers are going, and also payment details you can kind of put into this, and it would automate the end-to-end journey from start to end and give you the book ticket. So this is something that is kind of helping a lot of users. It's free for users. People can directly use it and book the train ticket. And on a daily basis, it does 2% of all the Tatkal tickets booked in India. So again, an innovation that was not done, and we kind of saw there is a friction there in terms of commerce, and we kind of completed that. So post this, we're also working on something pretty interesting. I'll kind of get approved to talk about it. So this is around automating flight ticket booking experience for users. So this again globally has never been done. So think of it this way: you want to go to say from Delhi to Bangalore, you want to go in the third week of August, and 6,000 is your comfortable price range. We'll kind of keep monitoring the prices for you, and any time the price hits say 6,000 rupees, it would automatically book the ticket for you. End to end, the ticket is booked, and you'll kind of get the ticket. So you just get an intimation saying the ticket is being booked. If you want to kind of continue, yes, say yes, and it would kind of be booked in the next 5 minutes. So this sort of an automation has never been done. So again, we'll be kind of offering this for users who can use this. and it's kind of a free service. People can kind of download the extension. Will kind of also create an app for this. People can just use it, and they'll be able to kind of book the ticket for any journey that they want. So those are a few things that we kind of work on. We have other products as well. Those kind of, one of them works around seller price intelligence. One works around consumer journey in terms of any websites, and those are business to business products which other websites can kind of use on. We also have a product called as Cricket Swag. So this is around cricket. So people interested into cricket can kind of check it. What it essentially does is every time you're kind of trying to watch a match, it will give you a score faster than what is shown on TV. And we kind of launched it about, say, 3 months back, and it already has 100,000 active users who are kind of using it. So that's what kind of is offered in terms of the products that we work on. And you can kind of have a look at the stack. Different kind of slides give you different stack that is kind of used in different products. So for Cricket Swag, it's on BigQuery, Redis, Node.js. On the design side, we use Marvel, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects to kind of create motion design. So we have just about 30 people who kind of work on all these different products, and they individually kind of handle different aspects of few of these products, and some of these products are kind of individually handled end to end. So that's about it. I wanted to kind of get an overview in terms of any questions you have. I'd like to kind of answer those questions. You can type out those questions, and I'll kind of answer those questions. So I'll just kind of answer a couple of these questions. It's CG criteria hard and strict around 7 CGPA. So yes, 7 is something that we're kind of looking at a minimum. If you kind of participated in any particular coding competition and have kind of done something really well there, something like a GSOC or even ACM ICPC or something, you can kind of apply even with a lower CGPA. And post that resume shortlist would be done. So the flow is resume shortlist, post that a coding test that is going to happen tomorrow, and then there would be 2 to 3 rounds of interview, post which the final results would be kind of communicated. Are there any offices except Bangalore? No. Are there UI profiles? Yes, UI UX profiles are there. So there are 3 profiles that your college is kind of that we're kind of trying to kind of hire from your college. One is of course backend. One is around front end. Front end would kind of involve anything around HTML, CSS, and those aspects. Third is UI UX. So if someone has had working experience in terms of doing that, so design, has worked around Photoshop, After Effects, or any of these tools, they can apply on that profile. You can go and explore the products. If you have any things in terms of feedback as well on the products, we'll kind of be more than happy to kind of answer that or work along on that. Kaisel, UI UX are open for your college. Yes, front end has a design component. Front end would involve the coding aspect of it. UI UX would involve the design aspect of it. Chicken is asking what would happen if the price gets lower after booking the ticket. So we are simultaneously working on something where what we're trying to do is we are effectively checking in and predicting how the price varies over a period of time. So we're effectively telling what is the likelihood that the price would go below a certain point. And we've already trained that model, and we're kind of getting up to 87% accuracy in that. And that model, as and when time progresses, we'll be able to kind of improve further and further. So that likelihood would be kind of lower. In any case, the user is asked for a comfortable price range, saying that, hey, 6,000 plus minus 500 is my range. So as soon as it kind of hits anywhere in that range, we'll kind of book it. Selection process same for all three profiles. Yes. UI UX would not kind of need a design round. They'll have to submit their Behance profiles or any design work that they have kind of done, and post that there will be interview process that will kind of happen. I'd also want to kind of take feedback around the presentation that we had. So, anyone who faced difficulties in terms of this, would it have been better if we had come directly to your college and then kind of organized a presentation? Anishta, if you get selected through the resume round, you'll get to know what sort of questions we'll ask for UI or UX selection. If you have done projects, it would center around the projects and certain understanding around the aspects around UI and UX. They're asking to open UI and UX for computer science. We can open it. Any other questions that are out there? We have a stream computer science and design.
They have CSC and CSC.
That is what design? What? Systems design? Or?
Not system design.
Okay. Cool. So we'll open it for that. Any further questions? Anything in particular that you would like to tell? Will we work on both mobile app and you can write add and tag them. Right, add. Cool. So I think we've answered most of your questions. If you have any further questions to try out our products, that would kind of give you the best glimpse around what we work on, what sort of a work we do, and If that sounds exciting enough for you, you should kind of apply. You would kind of get a glimpse of how the interview process works tomorrow. You'll have a coding round early in the morning, 8:30. Post that, once you're through and selected from the coding round, you will have the next rounds. For UI UX, there is no coding process. So if you have done UI or UX work, you can kind of directly apply, send in your Behance profile, send in your design work that you've done. We'll do the resume shortlist and we'll let the team, the TNP, know which of the people are selected for the next round. So that's more so on it. Thanks a lot for kind of tuning in. Sorry for the delay. We could not kind of start on time. I wanted to kind of have a setting where we could kind of individually also have an interaction with you and be able to kind of see you. But that kind of didn't pan out well. So, anyways, best of luck for if you're kind of appealing for the test tomorrow. And any questions, you can reach out to us. You can send a mail to this email ID, and we'll kind of be more than happy to answer any sort of questions that are out there. For now, your TNP has been communicated. Any sort of questions that you have, we've answered through this medium. You can also reach out to the mail ID, and we'll be happy to answer any further questions. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Best of luck.